I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. On the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve it as presented. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Public comments. Anybody that wishes to come and speak to the board, if you come forward now, give your name and your address.
Michael Benson, Central Road, Benson. When you invited me to come to the board meeting, you didn't know I was going to come to everyone, did you?
Call me anytime you want to.
So, my concern of the week, we have some excess land behind the marathon, and of course we have the lumber business in Four Oaks, and we were considering moving part of that over here, maybe just in storage right now. We applied for a special use permit, as it wasn't allowed in the zoning. In the process of applying for the permit, I talked with Mr. JoCo and Mr. Thomas. It appears that the site plan has to be sealed and engineered. That's the best I can understand why my application was rejected. And of course, some of the board members had to hear my complaints while they were trying to eat their dinner at the store. So I thought if I was going to mess up their meal, the least I could do was take a bath and come down here and share my concerns. But I don't see, if it is in fact in the ordinance that a site plan has to be engineered, that would be above and beyond the other municipalities and the county, as I understand it. And after talking with the county planning director this afternoon, he didn't understand that was the case here. So I just want to share that it has been a roadblock and a hurdle to me trying to build a building here. I think it has been to some other people, and it's just something that needs to get worked out one way or the other. If that's the rule, that's the rule. But if it's not the rule, you know, it different. So anyway, thank y'all.
Thank you. Any other? Anybody else wants to come forward? Okay. I'm going to call on Chris. Oh, okay. Sorry.
I've read in the papers where you're planning on doing some paving on Pine Street, Church Street, and I just wonder, I live on Woodall Street. My name's John D. And I've been there 47 years. And as far as I know, they may have been paved one time from Mclamb Street up toward Pine Street. I don't remember it being paved from Mclamb down to Wall Street. So I just wondered, I just want, throw that in case you can think about it. It needs something. Another street is, they're on Harnett Street from Market on Harnett back to the railroad track. Now, back in the summer, they had somebody to come there, and they filled up some holes, next to Market Street. But they didn't touch the one back to the railroad track. And there's some in ankle deep. Now, just wondered if any of y'all been over the railroad track to Church Street lately. They knocked the front end out of your truck across there. But I don't know if the railroad do something about that.
We've called two different people. And the last one I talked to was in Selma, Mr. Smith. And I'm getting ready to call him again because before you could slow down, getting bumped so bad, but now you can stop them. You're afraid you're going to get hung in something. So we're going to do some work to try to get that on. They keep saying it's they're going to put it on the list, but it never gets put on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call on Chris Johnson now to come and make a presentation about some land that's been certified.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to stand before you, and as always, to be in Benson this evening and work with you and the staff. There we go. I apologize. There you go. Real quickly, everybody that's on social media, I always want to kind of put in a plug in what we're doing in the marketing efforts. Always trying to stay with or just a step ahead of Benson because y'all have a fabulous media team, whether it's video, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. But my office also is on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and stuff. And so I've been tweeting about tonight's evening. So just always want to kind of put in a shameless plug there for the office, but also to point out how great of a job the town of Benson does in this space. When I give my presentations, I talk about the 6 cylinders of economic development, talk about the manufacturing, small business, travel and tourism, home building, and then also the agricultural sector. One of the things, I've got my old 55 Chevrolet there, and I've got a straight 6-cylinder engine, and the car won't run without all 6 cylinders hit firing on all cylinders. So the same thing holds true with Johnston County. All 6 cylinders have to be firing to make sure that the economy is coming along. And Benson obviously is touching every one of these 6 cylinders here. So I just want to kind of point out that. Just real quickly, some growth trends for Johnston County over the next 10 to 15 years. Obviously, we're going to be seeing continued growth. We're going to be well ahead of North Carolina as well as the state. One of the things that our existing industries are having problems with, and this affects our recruitment efforts. And then also, if you think of the municipalities, and I know Matt has done a fabulous job with the lineman program, trying to build that pipeline of good talent to come work for the town, or whether we're working for our industry. Obviously, anytime that you're below 4% unemployment, you're really struggling. This is the number one key thing that we're missing out here in Johnston County. However, with our transportation connectivity that we have, the 40 and I-95, it's easy for us to sell the region, and that's kind of what I do with labor market studies and sheds. But when you're meeting a client out in the middle of the field and you're talking about trying to bring their company to us, the first question they ask is, what's the unemployment rate? And I kind of like, well, it's below 5, really below 4. But it's just one of those things that we in Johnston County, but also the triangle region is having a problem. However, when I talk about that, is the continued growth that we're going to see in Johnston County. We're going to reach over 300,000 people in the next 10 to 15 years. The growth is coming. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And obviously with the transportation links that we have with 40 and I-95 and the transition of US 70 into an interstate highway to Interstate 42, we'll be one of the few counties in the state that has 3 interstates. Now, strong workforce and the growth of the country. This is what I wanted to show, kind of an interesting slide here. This is from 2000 2005 in the urbanization of society. When you look at that, the red is growing, and if you look at the next clip here, what's happened over the last 10 years, you see it's even shrinking more. That's more blue there. So fortunately, we're in the red area, so we're getting a lot of people moving into Johnston County from a lot of these rural communities, which hopefully will help assist in building that pipeline of talent for manufacturing and people working and living just kind of an uneven population growth chart here showing where this is from the UNC system, talking about continued growth of 18% or more for Johnson County and Wake and Harnett. So we're right there in the middle of the flashes there, the counties, they're the ones that are losing population. So we're in a good position here in the county. Obviously, we've had tremendous success in Johnson County over the last 5 years. We've had over close to $2.5 billion of investment in Johnson County. So we're very proud of where we're going, and we feel very strong I feel very strong that Benson is in a position here with the land certification I'm getting ready to discuss that we can see more investment in this community. So what's the next big idea? We brought in Ted Abernathy with the economic leadership to talk about some of the target clusters that we have. Obviously, when we have pharmaceuticals with Grifols and Novo here, it's easy to point those out because we have production technology. But then also we have the opportunity for distribution because of our transportation link. But one of the missing things that did not show up on anybody's radar is the IT and the software, and I think that's a new target industry that this community can absolutely take full advantage of with the close proximity of both the federal as well as Raleigh, and looking for smaller space, smaller buildings, and things of that nature in the downtown. Building critical mass out of this, the real estate recommendation. The key thing is to promote infill development, but then also look for sites that we can promote in our community. But one of the things that I enjoy about working with Benson is kind of always going to be in my DNA is that for 15 years I was the Main Street manager for the town of Smithfield, and as a small business person myself, one of the things that our office is not able to keep track of is the small buildings of 2,000 to 5,000 square feet, and that goes into those Class A office spaces for IT companies and things like that. So that's a target area that I look forward to working not only with the town of Benson but all of our communities. Over the last 5 years, I've been keeping track of RFIs, which is request for information, and it kind of shows you the trajectory of how many RFIs have been coming into the office. Now, for 14 and 15, I did not separate it out, but then in 16 and 17, out of 16, 17, and 18, I started asking myself, how many are we missing out on? We're getting RFIs, people are looking at coming into Johnson County, but how many times am I having to say, I'm sorry, I don't have what you need? So that kind of the red is the indicator of what we were not able to respond to, what I refer to as DNR, did not respond. And unfortunately, that's getting bigger and bigger. When you talk to the state, 60 to 65% of all RFIs coming from the state from site control, their first desire is an existing building. Time is money. They don't want to come up and look at a site and think about, well, in 18, 20 months, I may be able to be in it. You know, the economy can change. There's a lot of uncertainty there. So one of the things that I'm going to be hopefully working with this community and across the county is looking for opportunities of how we can build those spec buildings for companies that are looking for different buildings. But what are they looking for? On average, about 80,000 square feet. They range from 50,000 up to 200,000, but the sweet spot is around 80,000 square feet, 30-foot ceiling height. They need to make sure they have natural gas, water, sewer, electricity, and of course, if they're looking for sites, 20 acres is kind of the optimal size, and then inexpensive land costs. That is where I'm kind of starting to beat the drum and kind of down along across the county. We have got to do a better job of land banking, making sure that we're putting aside land for our industrial development. And we'll talk about the Benson, the East Benson Industrial Park in a second, but we need to do, every community needs to start looking at where they need to have it, where they would like to see industrial development go. Because we're competing traditionally with Lee County and Wilson County, and the cost per acre in those communities are around $25,000 an acre for industrial park, for industrial sites in industrial parks. Unfortunately, with the growth of Raleigh and the residential growth that we're seeing, I am seeing land costs go up $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 an acre, which is pricing us out of the industrial industry. But it's making me. But if we want to be a residential, then we're knocking it out of the park. But industrial settings, industrial sites are not paying those premium dollars. If they would pay $60,000 or $70,000 an acre, they can find that all day long inside Wake County. And unfortunately, that's why what we're doing. So, hypothetical situation. Also, another reason why I think we need to start doing land banking is that if somebody wanted to be in the 4042 area, and lo and behold, I happen to find 100 acres of land in the 4042 area, trying to get that rezoned, I would have to notify basically every neighborhood around that 100-acre land, and they would be meeting me at the office with a pitchfork because of having to be rezoned. So we need to do a better job of looking at areas that are less impactful to our citizens, but then also planning not just for this year, but what we need to do 10, 15, 20 years from now and lock down those prices. And I think that's where town and the county can get involved in doing that. What are we doing for the certified site process? Obviously, we're working with Duke Energy and Electric Cities in that, and we've implemented the Johnson County Site Ready, where we've basically gone through and we've, based on the help of the mayor and the staff here, and then also the generosity of Mr. Louis Wood, he's offered us his 80-acre site right across from PGI. We're very, very global now on I-95. The great thing about this site here is that with the widening of I-95 and the potential of having a bridge there at Subway Road, we're working closely to try to figure out if there's any opportunity that we at least get an exit ramp, an exit ramp off of 95 into the site off of Sub Road, or look for ways that we can maximize this investment. The price is right in line with what we're competing with Lee County and Wilton. And I really feel like once it just got fully certified about a week ago, and I've actually already started offering the site up, and so hopefully we'll have some activity and some interest there at this point. So basically what a certified site means is that basically I've got a property owner that's willing to sell his piece of property and has given the county an agreement to sell. I have too many people say, well, Chris, you bring me somebody and I'll be willing to sell me my land. Of Johnson County. I've got land. I've got people that said that they'd be willing to bring me the client, and I'll make sure that I'll work with them in the part. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with a site consultant, I'll never get to see the client until basically the ribbon cutting ceremony. I'm dealing with 2 or 3 levels of bureaucracy trying to get this information up to the client. But the key thing about the East Benson industrial site is that the prices are locked in. Utilities are in place, or they're planning to get them there. Obviously, access, we've already gone through the geotechnical, the wetland delineation, all the questions that have been removed here, as well as the potential development costs. The key things clients want to know is that how fast can it be, and what's my cost. And so what we try to do is remove all those barriers and get as much information to them to remain attractive through the process. Again, I've stolen this from Matt and his team because I've heard this green state philosophy here in Benson. So I'm going to start stealing it. But obviously, what we need to make sure is that when somebody does come on the ground, that we do show that green state philosophy, that we're there to answer their. We come with them with a business type approach, a pro-business type approach, and I think you've got that going on here. Again, I just want to touch on land banking. I can't stress this enough. I know that the mayor has kind of identified some other sites that could possibly go through the certification. It's a 4-to-1 match. It's about a $5,000 commitment. My office obviously sees the value in that, and we're willing to put up the forward. The community or the landowner is willing to put up the other $1,000, and it just kind of makes it kind of a shared reward. I can't go to any meeting without talking about the importance of the Southern Loop. Construction is going to start in 2020 according to this. They're trying to fast track it. I went down 40 today, and they're already talking about widening 40. But this is vital for Johnson County as the Southern Loop. There's actually going to be a meeting this Friday at 1 o'clock on some environmental issues, and I'm going to speak on there. And if anybody would like to have more information about that, please let me know. And then I can't say enough about, I'm going to get on my soapbox here, this is my last slide, is the natural gas line. Natural gas is key for any industrial product. It's obviously key for our residents, but again, just like Rand called, the next question is, do you have natural gas? And if we don't have that, and you can see east of North Carolina, it's kind of blanket empty there. And that's kind of the poorest area of the United States. And the reason that it's poor, and the reason we don't have a lot of industrial development there is because of direct access to natural gas. That's my presentation. I apologize kind of flying through that, but I certainly do want to thank the staff and the town for working with Mr. Wood and getting this site identified. And I certainly would like to publicly thank him for that. He's got a vision, and I can see the great opportunity.
Does anybody have any questions, Chris? Thanks so much, Chris. Chris is the man from Smithfield that is going to bring us something good soon. He's promised. Thanks a lot, Chris. Matthew, you want to go over the low alert?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Due to the fact that we have a full house tonight, we appreciate everybody's participation and being here. And this may be the first time you're hearing it, so we were very fortunate to receive nearly $4 million of assistance following Hurricane Matthew. And on our agenda tonight is the large project status update. And so, Mayor and Board, we are currently at 95% completion with our backflow check valves that help put 32 check valves in position for our businesses along the 301 corridor. All that remains now is Public Works is going back doing asphalt, concrete, final top surface repairs. So we're getting very near the 100% completion to get final reimbursement on that. The second is on tonight's agenda, your $150,000 grant that we received to complete an AIA study, which helped us do a complete inspection in our sanitary sewer system, and you have a report coming forward tonight from both Brian Johnson at the Wooten Company in assistance with Tim Robbins from the Utilities Department. That was nearly a $173,000 job, and you're getting your final report tonight. We would ask that if the board sees fit to accept the resolution of support for that project, then we would be able to file for reimbursement on that grant. The third item is utilizing an AIA study and how we would take our $875,000 in North Carolina 16 funds to repair our sanitary sewer system. We do have an update for the board and the public. I'm not sure if you get an ooh or an awe when we report this, but we had been told that the Main Street paving was going to occur in 2019. We anticipated that to occur in summer of 19. As we all know, there's two people that are very pleased about our current condition of downtown. That's our local dentist and our front end alignment shop, because we either knock your teeth loose or your front end will get knocked out of alignment. There's a lot of bumps and bruises down Main Street, and we know that. What we had asked DOT to do was to allow us the chance to go in and do a major amount of underground sanitary work that you saw right here. They had expedited the project and brought paving, as you know, down NC50 and stopped right there at 301 at our intersection, and then they had carried all the way out towards Meta School. We were instructed that DOT was set to come back through downtown Benson in September, roughly around the time of Mule Day. But then Hurricane Florence pushed both the paving and Mule Days out into October. So we went around and explained to everybody that DOT was coming to pave Main Street in October. And then Michael showed up, and that pushed paving into November. And so we went around and told everybody physically that it was supposed to start the 5th of November. We literally came back to the building and got a 45-minute window of time where we sat down and had gone door to door with the paving schedule. And DOT called and said they're going to move it to November 12th. Then we found out they were moving it to the last week of November, and we asked them one more time, is there an opportunity for us to do the major underground work on Main Street so that we don't have to see you come through pave, and then we have a water main break or a sanitary sewer repair that would have to happen minutes later? So at Thursday night's I-95 meeting, we were able to get with the right people in the right space. And at this point, we understand that DOT has pulled the Main Street paving out of the existing contract, and that our section of Main Street will be paved in later summer, potentially of 2019, which allows our team to come back tonight, and we're audibly at the start of the line here, to come to the board tonight and ask you, did you want us to continue to progress down the path of selecting an engineer and doing that underground improvement along that Main Street section, because now we have that window of time. So where we stand tonight is utilizing a portion of that $875,000, and I believe that Brian Johnson and Tim Robbins will be able to speak to that at greater length tonight during the Main Street update, and how all of that impacts our residents. So again, we'll ask for your understanding that Main Street is disrupted. We know it's not smooth. We've asked DOT to come in and make any other repairs to surface grade that temporarily. But we get one shot at this, and the asphalt has a 15 to 20 year lifespan. So the best management for us is to go dig up Main Street between January, February, and July 4th of next year, so that we can come back, and when they pave over it, we won't have to come right behind it and make repairs on Main Street. So your focus tonight, Mayor, Board, will be to consider that, and if that's the case, then we would bring an engineering firm before you at the December meeting, engage with somebody, and try to get the design done. So that's where we stand. It's a combination of all the underground work we're trying to do and be good stewards of your money, our money, and outside funding that's coming in. The next is item number 4, which is the $960,000 in FEMA repairs that we were set to make the wastewater treatment plant. And as many of the folks know, we've had a handful of sanitary sewer spills that have occurred during the summer of 2018. Many of those are directly related to the spikes in rain flow we've had, the unique weather conditions, and all the repairs that we're still trying to complete from 2016 storm, and then again a 2018 storm, and then, for example, even overnight, yesterday we had heavy rains again. So we are in the process of completing those repairs, and we can give the board any further updates that you need either tonight, tomorrow, the balance of the week. So we are moving forward with FEMA and the wastewater treatment plant. The other was we had applied for and received another $565,000 to repair storm drains across Benson. You will see construction crews mobilizing on Terrace Drive. We're in the final stages of those construction crews will be mobilizing this month to do work on what we refer to as the Hood property and across the Mclamb property. That will be improving storm drains that run currently across private land. It'll bring those back out into the right-of-way on Terrace Drive and divert a majority of Benson rainwater flow that flows under McDonald's and that 48-inch line that we repaired prior to the 2015 flood. Wanted to also give you an update that Mr. Blackman has his current easements in hand. He's reviewing easements for the former Napa site, which is now Blackman Auto Retail, and hopefully we'll be able to get his easements back, and we're going to go ahead and go out for bid on construction repairs right there by the former credit union, now Hannah Creek Veterinary Hospital, and now Mr. Blackman's Auto Retail. Then the next one is the Golden Leaf Funds of $500,000, and that is to rehab the former Barefoot property, which is now the public works structure, that 100 by 200 building. We were able to receive $500,000 to do that. We just received in the lowest and best architectural engineering quote that we have tonight. So under my report for town manager and requests over $10,000, we had received architectural engineering designs from $18,000 up to $46,000 to provide us a set of plans to move forward with that repair. So we're going to ask for your approval tonight. The Hawk Design team, which comes forward, we had checked with Larry Massengill. He had turned us to Prentice Tingle, who's another local resident, whose firm is helping us with his architectural and structural design. So we tried to stay as local as possible, and that's who we have that we're bringing forward to you tonight. So that repair will help Benson to not only improve itself for today, but provides us the protection for public works so that in the future, as we continue to grow, we'll have more space for public works. So again, that's a $500,000 grant, and we'd like to publicly thank golden leaf to both the stormwater repairs and the public works structure. So Mayor, with that, that's your update for you and the community on our current status of nearly $4 million in grant money that we're managing out of our office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is a public hearing. I'll call Andy Thomas up to give us the details.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Board. This is the public hearing for the preliminary plat, the Cliffwood Phase 3. Okay, we have them after your package. The owner is C.N. Bostic and Mary Sue Montague. The location is South Lincoln Street and South Mclamb Street, west of South Wild Street. Current zoning is R11 residential. It has 5.44 acres. Utilities will be provided by the town of Benson. This request is to create 12 residential lots. Surrounding zoning and uses, the property is bound by properties primarily zoned R11 residential. Property uses in the immediate area are single-family residential. Under staff comments, a traffic impact analysis is not required per the Benson UDO. Improvement to the property shall be in conformance with all local, state, and federal regulations. Curb and gutter and sidewalk are being extended as part of this development. Development will be served by the town of Benson utilities. The water line is being extended through the South Wild Street waterfront. Under staff recommendation, the planning staff recommends that the preliminary plat be denied for lack of interconnectivity. South Lincoln Street should be extended to South Wild Street. And if you look on the board, you can see the map. You see Woodall Street goes through, Harnett Street goes through, Harris Street goes through, Main Street goes through. So the staff feels that similarly, this street should be extended. This would connect the street grid pattern and allow for multiple means of egress. This would improve service delivery, including the fire department and police department, and provide for a safer condition for the residents. The board could deny the request as submitted, but approve it with a through street. If the board is inclined to approve design, the staff recommends approval with the following provisions. One, the preliminary plat approval is contingent on technical review of construction drawings. Two, street yard canopy trees shall be installed in accordance with the Benson UDO. Three, development signage shall be located and permitted in accordance with the Benson UDO. The planning board met on this item, and they recommended approval with the conditions that were stated. Would ask the town board to conduct the public hearing and make the appropriate findings of fact. Does that answer any questions?
Any questions of the board? I'll now open the public hearing on SD 2018-03 subdivision preliminary plat consisting of 5.44 acres. Is there anybody that wants to come and speak in favor of this? Andy will swear you in. Give your name and address.
I'm Fleet Temple with Enick Engineers, 1403 NC50 South. We were given approval last week, and I would just like to request a variance on the sidewalk. Due to that phase 1 and phase 2 of the subdivision do not have sidewalk. And we feel that it would be a sidewalk that goes for a few other feet of the street.
Was there sidewalks on the presentation to the planning board?
No,
Anybody have any questions?
this sidewalk issue even brought up at the planning board level. Andy mentioned that it was right, sidewalk, excuse me, are required by the rule. That is,
What's your issues with the board? Okay. Anybody else in favor? Anybody else in favor? All right, anybody opposed?
hello, Timothy Tartt, 506 South Lincoln Street. The concern that I have, with this as it's drawn, is the connectivity of our neighborhood is concerned that this will become a thoroughfare on Highway 27. As it is now, it goes down Pine Street on the Woodall Street, and ties in 301. We're concerned that this traffic will divert into our neighborhood. This subdivision was not planned, but it was designed in the 90s to have these streets run all the way through. It was designed in the roundabout. There's a contained neighborhood. Basically, the only traffic we get in this neighborhood is people that live there. We have children that play in these neighborhoods, and this will greatly affect our livelihood as far as our neighborhood. I'm not opposed as long as if we had the cul-de-sac rather than the thoroughfare. I would be fine with that, and as long as as long as the covenant remains the same. So that's my concern.
Am I to understand, you are fine with the presentation, the map that was in our packet that has the two cul-de-sacs?
I'm fine with that. But, yes, but I'm not fine with this thoroughfare that connects it all the way through.
All the way opening it up to South Vine Street.
And the way those cul-de-sacs are designed, as Mr. Temple explained at the planning meeting, is the state requires 75 feet roundabout for fire trucks and service vehicles to be able to make that turn in the cul-de-sac. It's been designed, according to him, for 96 feet, which will accommodate ladder trucks in the future. So yes, that's my, and I am fine with it. And I think the majority of our neighborhood has the same concerns, but I think most of them are fine with the original design.
Any other questions? Thank you. Any other opposed?
Lee Blackman, 503 South Mclamb Street. I don't know if you want to hear from our whole neighborhood one-on-one, but
there's a lot of us here. Nobody wants that street connected to make it a through thoroughfare. I bought the first house in the neighborhood over there after Barry developed it, and one of my concerns was, Gloria Johnson was my realtor, is this street ever going to connect? And it was no, there's a cul-de-sac down there. I called Barry, and I was, I'm concerned about through traffic. He said it will never be connected to that street. So, I bought my house. I do not want it connected through it. I think it'll, people are gonna come by Mr. Fred Nelson's house, flying, stop at the stop sign, and then fly through our neighborhood to get to 27. I don't think that's beneficial to the town. I don't think, the fire trucks, ambulance, police department will have any problem. It's not gonna shorten their time any, or lengthen their time anymore to get our residents back there. So I'm opposed to the street connecting. I am fine with the two cul-de-sacs.
You wanna have your other people stand there? Thank you.
Y'all all in agreement with Lee Blackman? Just making sure, that's a first.
Is there any other opposed? I close the public hearing. Okay, I'm sorry. He's kinda old.
Will Chandler, 103 Lakeshore Drive. I have gone and I have looked at this, and we have just got through dealing with the same situation at Lakeshore Drive. Right after Lakeshore Drive came up and we were promised curb, gutter, then there was a little glitch that there was not an ordinance that stated that. But there was an ordinance that stated a cul-de-sac. And right after that, I was sitting on the board here, and we went back and we put the ordinance in as far as sidewalks, curb and gutter on any new areas that were going to be that they were going to put houses in. And this right here, I see exactly what they're talking about. I would not want, and I don't think if you contacted Fred Nelson and the people right there that they would want it opened up. But if y'all do this and don't open it up, y'all make sure that you put the cul-de-sacs in. We've got a deadly situation right now at 103 Lakeshore Drive, all the way down. You go down there to the end where Hale Street was, you had a berm there. The berm is gone. They built houses all the way to the end. And you cannot get two cars passing at the same time from there. We can't get a fire rescue or anything else down there. And every time I questioned that, I was told, oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. We're going to extend that out. They did not extend it out. All the property has been used. And you go back to your ordinances and you go back to your town, and it says that you have to have every 95 foot, you have to have a cul-de-sac large enough. Well, you got 200 foot that you don't have anything large enough to get any fire rescue in. Now, I don't know what you can do about that because it's already done, and I was told it would never happen like that. We had ponds put in to take care of the wastewater because they would not put curb and gutter in because the state mandated that they do that. Larry Massengill came in and said, well, you know, the state is doing that as far as wastewater, as far as stormwater. You have to have somewhere to drain it. Well, y'all ride out there and take a look and see what there is. There's houses built on that now, okay? Now, it's no better than the people that are doing it. If y'all allow this to happen, then you can allow it to happen right out here, and we, as fire rescue or emergency services, we won't be able to get in or out. We'll go to a dead end and we'll stop, and then we'll hear all the complaining from the residents. But in putting that street through there, you're gonna have a big headache, and they're just like they say. We do it, we take our fastest route right now to 27 highway or to 50 highway, and everybody else will too. I can't see opening up the street, and especially with what all that's coming. We required the fire department 4 years ago, when you leave that station, we don't need those trucks downtown. It's too dangerous. So you pull out of that station, you hang a left, you take a right, and you go straight down to 301. Take a right and go to 50 or the Liberty Commons to 242. That's their area. And with everything else that's coming up, that's going to be something that we're going to have to change. And if you would open that street up all the way, you're not only going to have us as fire and rescue shooting through, you're going to end up having everybody else in town taking the very same way. And the residents will not like it. I wouldn't build out there. And if
But as this is proposed,
as it's proposed right
the
there,
fire
and
department is good.
yes, and we approved this plot plan for Barry Bostic way back. The town approved it, and this has changed it with the road. That was never approved. The housing out there was approved, and the planning board met last Tuesday. And you said that the planning board approved this, or did they deny it? They approved the road. What does your little piece of paper say that we usually got that as far as what the planning board did?
Planning board is not going to do the recommendation of the But in other words, the planning board didn't get that.
Okay, they did not, and that's not what I heard a while ago.
But I'm saying if we do not open that, if there is no connectivity, is the fire department, can you envision or see anything with the size of the trucks and everything that's required, having an issue with the cul-de-sacs which are side by
If
side?
this town makes sure it's the specs, no, it'll work out fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is any other in opposition?
Can I read the record? I appreciate Mr. Stanley's take that you have the fire chief who you want to
Let's put it out. Let's ask Alan.
Yeah, just ask if you want to ask the fire chief.
Chief Johnson, Vets Fire Department. 288
You've seen the map of the plat that was presented to the planning board.
Yes, sir.
You noted the cul-de-sacs, and on behalf of the fire department, is there any concern that the fire department would have with regard to any engineer plat that's been presented?
Not the last drawing, but as he stated, the first one come through, it was like 30 feet to it, but our requirements that the board passed years ago, going out to the building code, that was 90 feet for the larger truck to be able to turn around. So that should be what they have there. The only other requirement that request that I had early on was, I'm great with the code side, but I didn't should be at all. If there's any way to hook the water line together, I know if you did in, I don't know if you have to get even, you could just go in the farm. I don't know if you understand that. But that would help us rather than dead here into the code side. You could hook it from Brockman Street over to the plane to make it. But if you can still hook the water line, it's 6 feet.
Do you need to see this, so you just make sure, because you made reference to some of the plat, is that the one that?
The whole thing has a small effect. So this one here, should be nice.
So that the fire department would be fine with that?
Yes, the 9 feet, that's the really nice requirement.
Where was the hookup be if we didn't address the water line?
The way the map shows, we would have one, additional hydrant coming in, with the thing, and it's still good. This is always better than the
Any other questions?
I'm not waiting to see them, but I think we close the here.
You finished? Any other opposed? I close the public hearing.
So I understood the question for me is in regard to the extension of the water line. We currently have a dead end in the existing portion of Cliff Road. So, in extending this subdivision closer to, you hear me now? With extending this subdivision into the third phase and closer to Brockman and Ryle Street, I've suggested that we establish a utility easement and continue that line out to the existing line on Brockman and Ryle. So it'll eliminate that dead end. It'll create a loop situation, which most always means a better water quality, as well as from Alan's perspective, a better fire flow in that area. It would basically be, I don't know the distance, but I don't believe it would be a very long distance to extend that water line to tie into the distance. about 150 feet.
Does anybody else have a question, please?
That's what we're recommending. That was my recommendation, in my review, from a water standpoint, is to make that connection. So that would eliminate we have to flush that regularly as that existing dead end. That's water that we dump on the ground just to maintain water quality. This would likely eliminate that entirely. So it would save a few bucks to involve in water.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks. Andy?
Yes, sir. Somebody mentioned that this has been approved before. If it's been approved before, why are we listening to it? Has there been changes, and what changes?
It was approved in 1990, and a preliminary plat approval is only good for 2 years.
Okay.
So it's expired 10 or 12 times over.
Any changes from there?
And they have changed the number of lots. In the original approval where they had a cul-de-sac, there was only 6 lots. And now they're showing 12 lots. So they've doubled the number of lots they shown on the original plat.
Just to clarify what I think I've already heard mentioned on that, after unit without a variance, I guess requested. Things that can be requested until this does not meet our uniform, our uniform development code after unit right now.
Well, you always advocate for connecting streets. Street connectivity is always recommended. I'll do that every time. You certainly have the authority to approve it as it is. If you're inclined to grant that variance.
But even if you take the connectivity out of it and you leave the sidewalk 15 out of it, it would still not a representative of our uniform code.
It recommends interconnectivity.
Did I hear you say that there were no sidewalks in the other phases of this subdivision?
You heard Fleet say there were no sidewalks in the other.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
Fleet Temple testified there were no sidewalks, and having ridden out there, I did not see any.
Commissioner, can I speak to that?
That's right.
Mayor, we have a pedestrian connectivity plan. The reason that it's in the Unified Development Ordinance of the sidewalks is so that when a new development comes in, the development will bear the responsibility of installation of sidewalks. We have a plan to continue to connect what would be the vacancies and spaces. So from a staff perspective, from town manager, public works, and planning, we would encourage you to maintain and keep those sidewalks, because it not only increases the value of the homes that will be going in, it will increase the value of the homes once we make further connections back to whether you go to Parish Drive and all the way to Main Street. So interconnectivity and pedestrian access is extremely critical, so we would encourage you to consider that to remain within the plan. There's multiple spots where there's blanks, but there's a PED plan to connect those sections. So I can't speak to each individual block from memory, but we can tell you that we do have another PED plan that we connect. And when people petition, it's a 50-50 split normally for sidewalk installation for the current.
Anybody have any more questions?
This dot plan right here, it does include the sidewalks in it. Is that correct?
It was mentioned at the planning board that sidewalks should be included.
It was?
It was.
He said it wasn't in the
It
planning board.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions? You're gonna entertain a motion to approve or disapprove, or approve with merit.
I would move that, we approve the recommendation of the planning board, and then that the poll sites for this plat as it appears to be approved by, this motion, along with, keeping the, sidewalks in town. Is that clear? That there's no connectivity here, this is with the poll sites.
And adopting the findings of fact. And adopting the findings of fact.
Only thing I'm gonna say, I'll do whatever they do. The only thing I'm gonna say is, from an emergency services background, and from working for the town government. And I know that everybody that is here tonight is affected either, the good side or the bad side, or whatever decision we make tonight. I really feel like we want to be judged by the decisions we make tonight after we're gone. And in 50 years, somebody's gonna sit there and say, why doesn't that connect? And I'm not gonna be here to answer that question. One of y'all are gonna be here, but I'm the only one here. So that's the only reason, that's the only thing I say.
We asked the fire chief and everyone else associated with it, they said there was not a problem with this, it was presented. We have to go on with it.
Yeah, this is,
Any other discussion? There's a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. 3 ayes and 1 no. Thank you. Under new business, the sewer asset management plan presentation, Brian Johnson, the Wooten Company.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, and members of the board. I'm not popular enough. I have to admit, talking about sanitary sewer may not be quite a thing. I appreciate you letting me come and speak with you tonight, and certainly appreciate the opportunity to work with the town on this important project. Here tonight, I will try my best to keep things brief. I know you got a long agenda, and we'll move through this pretty quick. Certainly asking questions along the way, and we'll come back at the end for some questions as well. All right, so just want to give you a little bit of history, because some of y'all are new to the board since we started this. Back in 2014, we engaged in a 4-part plan. And really, that was done because the money was available. We didn't have all the money at the time, so we decided to take on a four-step approach. And phase 1, back in early 14, was to map the entire system. And at the time, we're also looking at manholes and determining what improvements that may be needed to have. Phase 2, moving fast forwarding to 2015, was smoke testing the entire town. You may remember seeing that back then. Smoke coming out of the ground is not normal, but it did come out of the ground that day. In areas that we didn't want it to come out of the ground, that was some of the things we found. And then, as we finished that, the next part was really to take the next step, and that was to evaluate internally. That's where really a lot of the cost comes in for these types of plans. Get inside and look closed circuit television inside the pipe. And so, and finally culminate that with an asset management capital improvement plan. And so that's really what phase 3 and phase 4 is all about. And so you remember, Matt talked about this earlier, the town received a $150,000 grant back in 17, and we were able to start this process of really new things accomplished. So again, looking at phase 4, the asset management plan, that really is a compilation of the 3 previous phases. It included capital improvement, and it also included an operation and maintenance manual. These are the three components that the state requires, and where this will pay off down the road is as you look to do some of these projects, potentially it will earn you points, so to speak, in the state ranking system. So the asset management plan details all the work completed throughout our project. That includes some of the background information on the town, the I&I investigation, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then some of the results from all the evaluation that we did. So first thing I want to talk about a little bit is just get everybody on the same playing field here is what is I&I? You've probably heard that word thrown around, inflow and infiltration. Basically, it's unmetered water that gets into your sewer system. It can get in there through infiltration, which is water entering groundwater essentially through manholes, defective pipe connections, and then also inflow. So this is rainwater. So this is where you might have cross connections with your storm sewer. Those are not good, at least not in Benson. Then you might have roof, basement, yard drains connected to the sewer. Again, that's not good. So every time it rains, groundwater rises, flow goes to the sewer system into your wastewater tank. So what we wanted to do is look and see, well, does Benson have a real problem with this? And if so, how much of a problem? And so what we did is we took 2 years worth of data that the town provided, and we looked at that, basically looking at the meter at the wastewater tank. And so then what we did is then compared that to EPA guidelines. And what you'll see here is that EPA establishes a guideline for excessive I&I as less than 3,000 gallons per day per inch mile. So anything over that is excessive. And so what we did through that 2-year period, we looked at the wettest 6 months, which is the normal practice, and you can see that including Hurricane Matthew, we're over double what EPA considers excessive. So the answer is one question, yes, Benson has an issue with excessive I&I. Well, then we said, well, Hurricane Matthew may not be completely clear because that doesn't happen every day. So let's look at it without that, and you can still see that even without Hurricane Matthew, 5,400 gallons per day per inch mile. So again, excessive I&I is prevalent here in the town, and that's really what the study was aimed at trying to find. Where is it, and how do we get it out of here and improve that situation? So what we wanted to do here is we know it's here, but where is it? And so the next step in the process, let me back up. Let me show you this nice graph here. This is just a graphical representation of sort of that same 2-year period, showing your red bars of your rainfall, and then your sort of gold line there is your peak, or your flow rather. And you can see it peaking when the rain hits. So these sort of 3 mountaintops there are basically staying in line with what the rainfall was showing. So that's just a further representation of what we were seeing. Okay, so how do we find this? So the next part was we went out across town and we put in flow meters in each of the sub-basins, sub-sewer sheds, if you will. And we dropped these in the manholes, as the picture on the right shows, and what we found is what was on the left, this graphical representation of what we're seeing. We'll talk about this in a minute, but essentially the black line there shows your flow, and the blue line is kind of opposite in this graph. It's reverse, and I'll talk more about this in just a minute. But as the rain goes up, that black line goes up as well. The bottom line. All right. So through that process, we were then able to determine places we could go back and do CCTV, closed circuit television inspection. And this is a culmination of smoke testing, discussing things with town staff where problems are known, and then also the flow monitoring that we did. So this helped us zero in on some areas. We didn't have, obviously, enough money to do every line in town, so we really had to be more focused on that. And so we chose about 16,000 feet of line, and that was inspected by a third party. And what they did is they came in and inspected it, and then they rated it. And they rated it with a national rating system. And anything 0 to 2 is good. Anything 3 to 5 is not good. And we'll see that here in the next graph. We just have a zoom up here at the town. You can see the red lines there. I believe that's, if I'm thinking right, that's Lee Street. You got the red is the worst, and you got some orange in there. That's level 4, and then the yellows are level 3. So anything in that category we need to do something about. The green that you see in there, things look pretty good. Next thing, so that kind of ends sort of the I-9. I will tell you as a sort of a footnote on that, we actually ended up, due to some pricing that we were able to get, some good pricing we were able to get from the subcontractor, we actually were able to go and do more CCTV that was sort of a postscript, if you will, to the report. And they've gone out and done about 8,000 more feet of line. And the good news for the town in that is that y'all are required by statute to do 10% every year. And so that's cut this year with the study. So we were able to get over about 12, 13%. Okay, so once we evaluated that, we had a couple more pieces of evaluation we felt necessary to do. One was the pump station. We've got 11 stations, 2 of which are brand new, so we didn't look at those. But the other 9, we went out and did drawdown testing, which is basically just making sure that it's pumping correctly, and then inspecting the condition. We did find several issues, as you might imagine, both with condition, but also things that you maybe want to have, like a generator at a pump station when it's raining, that kind of thing, power might go out. So we found those things and documented those in the report for you. And we did find several of the stations that the pumps were not pumping quite as much as they should have. The next component that we looked at, and this is the last piece of evaluation that we did, was the hydraulic model. And this is one that I think will be very beneficial to the town in the future. What this is basically a representation of your town wastewater system. So, for example, this is not what we did, but let's say down the road you have a development that comes in, you want to know if this certain line has a capacity. This tool will help you know that and kind of see what improvements might be needed downstream of that particular development. But what we did was looking at your existing system, and we wanted to determine what kind of capacity your existing system has. Are your lines about reaching their full capacity? Are they half full? Or they have plenty of capacity left? And what we found is pretty much there was only just a couple places in town that had some capacity issues. Pretty much by and large, it was good. One area you're looking at here, I think that's Fayetteville Street, Catherine Street, and on up to North Hall. That's an area that has some deficiency. And then another area over off of West Martin Street, which we'll talk about in a minute, also has some deficiency. So other than that, though, it looked okay based on existing systems, so not accounting for future growth and whatnot. And we did, just to let you know, run this looking at wet weather conditions, peak flow. So this is like, for example, yesterday we had 4 inches of rain in 24 hours. We looked at that scenario, and the system got through a couple places just okay. But what that means is it's delivering all this water to the wastewater. So that's not good. All right, so all the evaluation being done, the next step, and really the biggest step to help the town in planning for the future, is the capital improvement plan. And what we did is we established different projects that we felt would be beneficial to the town based on what we found, and we kind of separated it into 2 different things and tried to prioritize these. One is the needed improvements that we found. So that would be the manhole rehab, the sewer replacements, pump station upgrades, those kinds of things. Then we looked at also proactive planning. What else can you do in the future that might help you, make sure that you continue to stay on top of the issues going forward. We looked at long-range planning, and then also decommissioning some pump stations. So those are some things that you'll see in the next slide. Plan is approximately $9.34 million, so it's a pretty big amount of money to tackle. But we tried to step it out, and obviously the hope would be that you could apply for funding. It's not something that the town is trying to put together all at once. So here is the plan, and you can really just see the distribution of numbers there. The column farthest to the, I guess the second column to the left shows the total cost for each particular project, and then you can see them as columns beyond that to the right, how those are distributed out over the years. The top amount there is that smoke testing and cleaning. I mentioned the cleaning a minute ago that you have to do 10%, so that's just sort of something that you're probably budgeting anyway already. But then it moves into the manhole rehab, the wastewater system station rehab, and then the sewer line rehab. Those are the next three. Those are the higher priority items that we found from the study. Then you get down more into proactive, and we've got, for example, find and fix. That's just keeping the ball rolling. We didn't CCTV the entire town, which is cost prohibitive. So as you continue to CCTV the town, you're going to find other problems. So those are, that we've set aside some money to or planned on some money, to tackle some of those. Majority of that is pushed out to years 6 through 10. So again, $9.4 million or so is the total for the project there. I would say too, we did put some interest in here, recognizing that today's dollars may not be tomorrow's dollars, probably won't be. So these are pushed up a little bit as they are pushed out. All right, so then I guess the next thing we wanted to mention here is where do we start? We've got to start somewhere, and we've got a project in year one. You see lined up there about $800,000 or so, which is very much in line with the money that you received from DWI, $875,000. So we looked at a potential project. I want to go back to this graph. This is the West Martin Street flow meter that we put in. And as I mentioned before, this shows I&I. And rainfalls in here is in blue, and it actually goes off the graph. We got so much rainfall, I think it goes well over an inch. And you can see the black line there is your flow going up. Okay? So after seeing this, the CCTV inspection we completed from 301 to Park Place, and then here's the results. You can see the yellow starting there down at Wall Street. Moving on up, you can see some more yellow, some red, and then ultimately some orange, and more orange towards Lake Pool Drive. So anyway, lots of things that we found in that particular stretch. So we think the first step on this, using that money, would be a project in this area. And here's sort of the things we found: deformed pipe, infiltration, pipe fracture, line fracture, root intrusion. It addresses multiple sanitary sewer overflows. One thing I did not mention, and I need to mention, is back up here. Sorry about this. I didn't show it on this one. It's on a later slide. But one thing that the town staff indicated to us, and it was evidenced actually by the hydraulic model, was the portion below Wall Street, between Wall Street and goes right to the east of the railroad. Anyway, basically going up under the railroad in one block, okay? That particular segment is a bottleneck in town. And there's been issues, particularly during Matthew and during Florence, so there's issues there. So that was another area that we felt like, between what we found CCTV-wise, in addition to that bottleneck that they found, and also the model showing you that there is a problem, we felt like that was a good area to include as well. So all total, you're looking at about 1,800 feet of 8-inch pipe, 825 feet of 10, 875 of 15, and then various manholes in between. And that project again is about $800,000. Now, all that being said, you heard Matt talk about the DOT earlier, and about the variations in the in the paving schedules and whatnot. Main Street has some issues as well. Main Street, we know for sure, has manhole problems. There's 6 or so manholes as you carry on between basically, I guess it would be Wall Street all the way to Fayetteville Street. There's about 6 manholes. And we know that some of the lines in that area, sewer lines, are not in good shape. So probably what we would want to recommend based on that, what we would really recommend based on that, is diverting some of the funds we had originally scheduled for this particular project over to Main Street. And we don't think it'll take up near the $800,000 or $875,000, so the remainder of that money can then be
used here. And what I would recommend is basically just starting at the downstream end on this project. After, you know, say that Main Street project costs around $200,000, $300,000, and you have $500,000 left. Start there at Market Street, this is Market Street, and work your way up, all the way up West Martin, as far as that money will take you to end out your grant dollars there. I think that's the best way to utilize it, knowing that you've got that paving issue on Main. You want to get ahead of that, and you know there's problems there, and then using the balance to construct this project in this area. So with that, I will take any questions that you may have.
The time period, we have enough time period to move it over to take care of the Main Street issue with whatever time period we're talking about now?
I believe so. So what we did tonight, we split up, and we had a conversation with DOT so Tim and Brian could help better brief us all. We had a meeting between 5:30 and 7 and find out that time period. It's a great question. I'll be getting some of this.
Yes. So to answer your question, the time frame will be very tight. This will be, the DOT is going to begin their paving approximately August 1st. That is what we determined, August 1st. So that leaves us a window of about 7 months or so to get everything done. I think it's possible, you know, considering you've got to lay out the project, you've got to take bids on the project, get a contractor engaged. All that being said, I think the time is appropriate. It's going to be tight, but we can do it, I believe.
One of the things we talked about at the onset was addressing the sanitary sewer issues on the main. Currently, the water line runs down the street. DOT does not want to see water lines in there. We have the option to come in the alley to service all the buildings on main. So one of our recommendations to the engineering team from a staff perspective is DOT's addressed all the stormwater repairs on Main Street. That's where all of our cuts are from, the stormwater repairs that DOT made. They spent over $300,000 repairing the storm drain. We think that we have the funding and ability to get in and do all those manhole replacements and repair the sanitary lines that come from the manholes and connect to the side of the street. We would highly encourage the board to consider, as we partner with our local merchants downtown, to help us rerun the new water lines in the alleyways, which is much better for the preservation of that section of roadway down the street. One of the things that you'll remember when we paved Paris Drive a few years ago, then it was 10 years ago, when they vibrated Paris and came over and did the overlay. It wasn't much longer that we started to see pop, 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 and all the water lines under Paris started to let go. So the conversation we had with DOT was not vibrating the Main Street section, but rollering it in, which keeps that vibration and protecting those water lines, which we know are very shallow and very old. So 2.5, 3 foot deep, where your sanitary lines are as deep as 14 feet. So our approach, or our theory today, is we can divert whatever funds are necessary to fix the immediate sanitary, because number one, we have a window of time. 2, we have the funding, and then we need to get with all of our property owners to get the necessary easement access within the alleyways to rerun services and reconnect the buildings in the back as opposed to from Main. And there's not many that are connected from Main Street. There's a handful of connections on Main, but we do have the ability to divert those water lines. And for those that weren't aware, when we did phase 1 and phase 2 of water, we also came up the side streets into the Main Street district, running new water lines and putting new hydrants in to protect the downtown fire protection. So we've made many strides there. And there was a section of our phase 2 water line that was headed down towards McDonald's that we had to abandon based on the cost of the project. Because after the Great Recession and the downturn, the numbers were estimated at X, and by the time we went out to bid, the economy had come back up, and those numbers were much higher. So we unfortunately weren't able to go down past, say, Walgreens, Advance Auto, and get towards McDonald's. All of those still need improvement as well. And if you recall, we had a 5-phase water line project that started at Church, went to Main, so we've gotten phases 1 and 2 done. Phases 3 and 4 would take you over Parish Drive and start to repair some of the other aged lines that are in town. So as we get into that Main Street historic business district, the best approach for us is to get the water lines out of Main, because as you know, we did it on the west end of Main. We bored and went up and under and maintained trees and kept the front yards looking nice, but we're now in that downtown district. So the recap is to get in there, attack those manholes, attack the lateral lines, and then work with DOT to do a really nice job of paving downtown so that we don't have to come back and cut in a nice asphalt and the very near future.
So we asked
Nothing at this point. Then we have to go to our resolution, right? We need to accept the resolution on the AIA study, which is on your agenda, so that we can get reimbursed. But what we would like to do is, if you recall, it was September, Tim and I were opening up engineering requests for qualifications, which we still have, and we had started grading those requests for qualifications. We had gotten to the point where we had selected, or were selecting a firm, and then DOT changed the paving schedule. Recall the September meeting, we were supposed to come to you with a recommendation. We'll be prepared to bring you that recommendation in December, select the firm, design the repairs, and then begin the bidding process. Is where we are today. So actionable items tonight would be accepting the resolution, and then understanding that we come before you in December with a request from an engineering firm and to move forward on the downtown project. And if any of that is confusing, we understand there's been a lot of changes. We appreciate your patience, your grace, and we're going to do our very best to keep everybody informed that it's been changing by the week.
Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thank y'all, and I failed to mention at the beginning, but I want to thank the staff for everything they did. This is certainly with the long process and getting done, and Tim and Paul and Matt and Tim and everybody for their help. They really were instrumental in getting us where we are. So thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Now we'll take up resolution 194, 2018, and that's from this wastewater capital improvement plan. I'll entertain a motion to approve it. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Thank you.
Tim, are you, do you need to talk about the proposed NC-16 grant? Or do you think he's already covered? Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Now, consider authorization to expend up to $35,000 from the library reserve account to replace bookshelves, furniture, and so forth. Terry.
Thank you, Mayor, Board. So what we have tonight is a proposal from the Library Board of Trustees. We've been discussing this for quite some time. It essentially boils down to a way to kind of reinvigorate and re-emphasize our children's department at the library. In general, the best practice in library design is to really emphasize the children's department. Right now, the way the library is laid out is kind of pushed away in the back. It's a building that wasn't designed originally to be a library, so the space is used as best as possible. But with it back there, it creates a whole host of issues with managing the library, primarily safety. If there's only one staff member there, there's really no way to safely monitor the library. Obviously, the highest concern area would be the area where children are congregating, which is very far away from the public service desk up at the front. As you can see, this is kind of the current floor plan of the library. Children all the way in the back, adult collection, everything up in the front. The proposed floor plan would be to essentially rotate the way the library is set up. You would move the children's department up to the front and kind of push, the adult collection into the rear of the library where the teen and, current children's areas are. Included with this would be better shelving, see the newer design shelving on the right, much more accessible to kids, easier to browse. Also, upgrade the furniture, spruce up the spaces that we already have, make the library a more inviting place to congregate for adults and children as well. So the proposal we have is, if approved tonight, we're requesting the library board's requesting the use of the library reserve fund, which has a current balance of $41,415. We would not exceed $35,000. If approved, we would go out for bid, find the best, lowest bidder. And talks with library design professionals. They kind of helped draw floor plans and kind of gave me an estimate on what shelving, furniture, installation, and all that would involve. And we're pretty confident we can do that proposal and keep it under that $35,000 threshold. Do you have any questions?
I tell you, I every time I get a report from the library of the amount of participation there is in that building, and the number of people that's there every day is just fantastic. And I think the staff that's there and the library board have really done a great job, and I think we owe it to them to do this. I'll entertain a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. You have your money. Thank you for coming too. School report. Okay.
Mayor and Board. Tonight I'm here to give a brief overview of the grant funding proposal that was provided to us through the state of North Carolina and the Department of Education, which will allow us to place a full-time school resource officer local. The grant is from the state of North Carolina and the Board of Education, and the initial proposal is for 2 years. The first year is guaranteed funding. The second year is tentatively approved, but must be funded by the legislature and the state budget. Funding is approximately $48,000 per year, with $32,000 from the state and $16,000 from the Board of Education. No matching funds are required from the town, and the grant funds will be dispersed on a reimbursement basis, which means that the town can pay the salaries and we submit reimbursement requests to the Board of Education. The grant is not for planning, which means that the SRO position must be created for the new position for the department. The SRO will be based primarily in the middle school, but will also have responsibility at the elementary school as well. During the summer break and school holidays, the SRO will divert from normal law enforcement to the police department so we can move the agency to it. The officer selected for the position must be SRO certified. And lastly, the Johnson County Board of Education would like to position starting January 1st, 2019.
This is a 2-year thing.
It's proposed to 2 years. First year, funding is guaranteed. Second year, is tentatively approved. We have 14 student positions.
So the town would get this 48,000 from the state and county, and then we would have to provide funded for insurance and all that. So it was not completely funded. How much responsibility do we have from the standpoint of they're gonna expect that officer to keep somebody from breaking into school, or how is the town?
It primarily would be on the 2 hours, 8 to 7 to 4 o'clock. We give off that to be on site during football games, dances, something like that. So we would move, like at nighttime, we would move garbage, put those ground. Where we can get the things getting rid of out and we take the school
I had the opportunity of going to the municipal managers meeting with the superintendent, where you're looking at both of these schools or within the jurisdiction of the town of Benson. The sheriff's also placing people in schools that would be in the county jurisdiction. So, in the event of an episodic phone call, we're the first responders to both of these sites anyway. So, it makes good sense for us to reinforce our staff and be the one that would serve as the SRO. And if I'm mistaken, if I've spoken out of turn over that, redirecting, but it's in our jurisdiction, so that assignment came out. If it were South Johnson High School, for example, it's not us. So our SRO funding is being designated for the middle. A total benefits package that we call totally loaded for a general standard full-time FTE employee is plus or minus $7,800 a year. You're looking at one half of the school year, but we've also gone without 3 to 4 positions full the first half of the year. So we're revenue positive, so we can absorb it, but you're looking for a dollar figure would be roughly $4,000 in the balance of the fiscal year.
Well, if the county had enough money to loan money up to the Bees Crossroads, why couldn't they put a little more money in to completely fund it for the first year?
All 13 SROs are being divvied out approximately $48,000 per SRO approximately. So it's just pure numbers based divided by the 13. We're gaining 12 months of coverage, utilizing 9 months. So we're in a position where we're gaining a full-time officer, not having to pay a few $1,000.
Did the other municipalities did they get one full, like, for example, for us?
I'm not sure which ones of the 13 received. I can't speak on.
This requires us to create another position, and that we have a police department. The last 2 years, it's made on the permanent.
As we do with all of our other grants, we're not required to maintain beyond the cycle of the grant. I will go on record with another meeting and recording. It would be hard pressed to reduce an SRO in 24 months if we funding differently. Based on the climate of the national scene, all the incidents that are occurring, but in our projected plan, we were going to add an officer and then a second officer again. So from our perspective, we're not supplanting, but this definitely helps reinforce the Benson services and also provide greater protection at the middle and elementary.
Where did you say this money's coming from?
Part of it is coming from the state, and the remainder is coming from the Board of Education.
And then we need to make certain that we touch base with the Board of Education before the expiration of this and see if there's something, they can be done with more money that they want us to have. The school resource officers. And it's kind of bad if you've got to split 1 or 2 schools because, you're asking this school resource officer to make decisions where it's most critical. And I understand if you've got to out, extracurricular activities in the afternoon, that's where that SRO is going to be. But in the morning, when you have problems with children getting drop off and all of that, what school do you decide?
Right, and this action improvement over how they do it currently, the county provides an FRO for South Central High School, who's also responsible for the middle school and the elementary school.
But I encourage all, you go out there and go up to the schools, and they, you're on the gym, and they have to buzz you in, and from what I understand, I don't know if there's a whole lot of, you just get buzzed in if you ring the bell. You've got someone that says, I don't know how much screening that really is, or how much protection that really is.
The bond issue, the positive bond issue pattern will provide what we understood in the information from the county for the buffers between where you enter the school and where you can pass through. So, I think you're gonna see multiple and a series of safety measures based on the meeting that the chief attended and I had attended. When I first attended the meeting, it was looking at the 75-25 situation, where the state funding is 75% and the county funding was brought to the table to bring us to the $48,000 share. From a staff perspective, I don't think the chief or myself, even finance, we see this as a positive and even a person that is considered technically responsible and allow us to put that person in position as they wish to be in based on availability.
What would be wrong with approving 1 year? It's funded.
I don't know if they even out and on it, do they make it available with conditions?
I think we're
Working on the contract.
That you do something like that, that you approve it in the year, depending on the balance, something that I think is, obviously they're subject to the same thing, that watch it, and they're talking about.
Well, I'm in favor of having resources for the kids.
Just based on that, we find what's in. Somebody at each school who's got liability. And I think as a result of that, you're gonna see this continue, that our continues is gonna be probably much like you saw in the past with building fire safety, doing campaigns and the like, other things that you hear about doing the federal system, at least they don't use it.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Make a motion.
We intend to bring you a concept in the board meeting.
Well, let's do it.
All right, thank you.
Who is the county talking to?
Like, who are you communicating to on the contract? Because I was communicating to you. He did.
Give me
Okay, Kim. Consider the September 2018 financials.
I bring before you the September financials. As it stands at the end of September, we were 24% in revenues and 31% in expenditures. As you'll see on the next item on the agenda, I have quite a bit of budget amendments to bring forward to you. We got some influx of revenues that just came in that we need to account for, but I had no questions emailed to me. Do you have any questions now?
Does anybody have any questions? I'll entertain a motion for approval. Any other discussions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
You want me to present these 4 amendments individually, and then you approve them all at once, or do you want to approve them after each one? What? Lump together? Okay, all right. So, budget amendment number 4 was previously, you previously approved in the last board meeting to extend the paving, and so this makes up the difference of what we need for that. Budget amendment 5 is our insurance revenues from the last hurricane. They were very generous in what they gave us, and so we need to increase that revenue line item and then in turn increase that expenditure line item to account for what mostly we've spent on fixing roofs and such to our building. Budget amendment 6 is the insurance proceeds from the fire department that they received. They are separate because they are under a different insurance umbrella, so I'll make sure to lump them into their own funding source. And then the last budget amendment number 7. After our last board meeting, I ruffled a few feathers at FEMA, and I finally got our reimbursement request that we requested in July. Finally came in it came in last week. So this budget amendment increases the line item for revenue in water sewer fund and increases those expenditure line items that were not looking so great on your budgetary cash report. Are there any questions?
Is there any questions with Kim? I'll entertain a motion for budget amendment 4, 5, 6, and 7. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
And then the last thing I have is just paperwork. I need a project ordinance for the community Part F grant that we received. This just gets it in my book so I can start signing the book. That's all. If there's any questions.
Any questions about this? I'll entertain a motion. Any other questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Thank y'all.
Purchase order approval of $10,000.
Thank you, Mayor. What we have is what we have alluded to earlier, is a request to Hawk Design to provide architectural design services for our Golden Gate grant. This is a $19,000 expenditure, which will allow us to get our stamp drawings, permit approval process rolling, and we intend to apply for our permit through the county and allow the county to do our inspections, so we're not permitting and inspecting our own work to keep the level of separation between our project and our inspection. So our request is to move forward with Hawk and cost not to exceed that.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion. Any other questions on that? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Okay. And we had worked hard, Mayor, in our I-95 project, and what we saw tonight is in regard to our transportation improvement plan, to try to locate another partner for the $12,000, and we've yet to find one. What we're advocating for is so that we can make sure that that entire corridor east of 95 is covered in our plan. So we had talked about coming back to you tonight to increase the scope of work from $45,000 to $57,000 in total, which would encourage us to use another $12,000 to make this thing.
Anybody have any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion. Any other discussions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no.
Thank
you. Okay.
I'm not sure if we wanted to discuss or take any action, but as you recall, we had stormwater drain issues in the Eastwood Subdivision, i.e. the Mclamb property. So are there any questions that the board has that I could assist you with? What we have is Mr. Mclamb has removed his pipe and taken it completely out of the ground. The last direction the board gave us was to do only the repair in the street, which we've done. I want to bring to your attention that this may impact Mr. Glenn Thornton downstream, but Mr. Mclamb took it upon himself prior to the arrival of Hurricane Michael to remove said pipe, and now just has a massive open ditch, straight line ditch in his backyard. Not sure if you all would want to take any of that.
None of the easement or anything, that's on his private property, correct?
That is correct. We have no easement on Mr. Mclamb, nor do we have an easement on Mr. Thornton.
So,
They're all
there's no
private.
liability to the town for that open easement.
I'm not sure if there's liability or not, based on the previous experiences that we have. We just wanted to bring it back up to you all. We had originally installed that pipe. The town, from what we could discover from past, Mr. and Mrs. McClain had purchased the pipe. Town forced account labor had installed the pipe in and around the year of 1999-2000, and that pipe was identified as a restriction. Over a year ago, we had a meeting in the subdivision, identified that as a restricted problem, and asked for access, and we were denied access. Following that on-site neighborhood meeting, the town board voted to approve the project of repairing the culverts, in which we've done so, and those culverts have helped with the flow in the Eastwood Subdivision. But we know that this still remains an issue, I think, for Mr. Mclamb and also for Mr. Thornton.
I still say, I'll say this one more time, that there's some advantage to cutting the curb in that shopping center, get the people that own the property, cut the curb so that some of that water can run in that retention pond. We went over there when the storm was winding down, and we couldn't see a drop of water there. Of course, there's a lot of stuff, but I just think we could get rid of some of the water that's washing down on Mr. Thornton if we could utilize that retention pond. And then, of course, it belongs to the church, I reckon, or to the shopping center.
It belongs to Archie Bartlett, they're the co-owner of the property. The church is simply a tenant, so none of that impacts the property of the truth, Jordan, and Axton Bank. So we just wanted to bring it to your attention. No action necessarily needed, just if there is, you've been briefed and they've revisited as needed.
Would this be a nice thing now, would it seem to be better?
From a standpoint of flow, yes, sir, but without the proper swaling, without the proper riprap as we had proposed, I would anticipate, logically speaking, that Mr. Thornton's going to get more sediment at a faster rate, which is causing him an issue on the straight line ditch and ultimately impacting his pond, which is downstream. So it's really a private party issue between Mr. Mclamb and Mr. Thornton, just to brief you on that. I'm not a hydrologist, but it's out of experience. An open cut ditch without anything to navigate that channel, it's going to flow heavier sediment. And I believe that's what Mr. Thornton has verbalized to me, and I think he may have also verbalized it to Tim in the field. And, if you see Mr. Thornton, I think you may bring that up.
Your day recap, your day's recap.
I'll have to apologize with all we've had happening. We will bring you a full, in-depth report at the December meeting. We were not able to gather all of your data, so I don't have your normal plus or minus here this evening, but I hope that you would understand based on all the DOT.
Does anybody have a feel for what the crowd might have been like?
We do. Our policing numbers are down based on the fact of we didn't have much of a crowd at all on Friday and Friday night. We released staff early. Numbers we would want to use the term good if you were to use a subjective term for the parade, but permits numbers were down, golf cart inspections are down. Normally we're north of 500, we were plus or minus 325, 326 on golf carts, so our revenues are down. Ultimately our expenses are down. We would, if you were to match my office so far, you're fluttering around the 50 to 60% mark of a normal event, but closer to the 50% mark. But you have the chamber director, she may be able to address that a little bit from her perspective.
Update on Main Street? You've already done that.
The update on Main Street, we've we're gonna come forward with, on the agenda, we'll ask the clerk to place the acceptance of an engineering firm and the potential to move forward with the design process of the December meeting.
Okay, town manager's report.
Thanksgiving is the 22nd, 23rd, so obviously we'll be closed for those 2 days. We would want to remind folks that the Benson Area Ministerial Association will continue to do the annual community feed, which would be slated to occur in the Singing Grove early in the morning on Thanksgiving Day, the 22nd, and encourage anybody volunteers to come out and assist us. The town's role for that is not just to provide the space, but we also want to make sure, Tim, help me make sure that we have our trash dumpster in place with Waste Industries. We found that carving 50, 100 turkeys sometimes makes a bit of a mess, so we have a dumpster there that would be provided by the town that helps clear the following Monday, and we would encourage you to come on. The Christmas on Main Parade, slated for the 7th. We would look for a comprehensive transportation study plan. So we're getting really good at these 4 to 7 meetings. Last Thursday's I-95. Today's public input meetings was around about at 3:01. And then our friends from Randy Kemp that are helping us with our comprehensive transportation study plan will likely be on Main Street trying to recruit people during the Christmas on Main Parade to come to our event on December 11th to gain more participation and conversation for the comprehensive transportation study. And that would be on Tuesday the 11th. Followed by a regular board meeting at 7 o'clock p.m. We are slated to have our annual town Christmas party. We had it last year at the American Legion. This year we've asked to try to reduce it to immediate family. So if a staff member has, say, example, triplet children, they're invited to bring their spouse and triplet children, or in my case, 6 individuals. But outside of that, we ask that you don't bring your neighborhood and your second cousin, things like that. So we pared it down that it's primarily for the town of Benson staff. And by being able to do that, we were going to take the function back to the Benson Baptist Church, which allows us there for a small donation of the cleaning fee. So we saved our rent.
You said you're going to have it at the Baptist Church this year?
Yes, sir. The reason we left the Baptist Church to go to the Legion because it got big. We got to the Legion, they were great to us, and then it was such a far space. It seemed really open. And, we felt that we didn't have enough people to fill the Legion yet, so we were going to take it back to the Baptist. And so that's where we are at this point. And then, obviously, our holiday closures on the governmental holidays is 24, 25, and 26 in December. But that's where we stand with all of the events coming. And we had a whirlwind, if you will. So from my desk to the entire team, thank you for your assistance in Hurricane Storm, the responsiveness post-storm, the preparedness for Michael, getting us through Mule Day, the Veterans Day celebration,